1 minute more to go and we will start.
Our counter is there, timer is there, grammarian is there. We await our speaker one and professional speaker,
Who's our professional speaker?
Manisha.
Hi Rashmi, hi Taiba, another finalist, ISC finalist, Division D.
Hi Saiba, welcome Rashmi.
Hello everyone.
Hi, Taiba.
Hello.
Welcome
Hi,
to our
Jim.
professional speakers, Taiba and Rashmi.
Oh, hi, Taiba. We meet again. Can I
Yes,
start?
Jim. We have met before.
Yeah, last
Sandeep,
time was
ready?
in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, Sri Lankan club.
Very good afternoon to fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Myself, Sandeep, Sergeant at Professional Speakers Club, welcomes you on meeting number 140 at Professional Speakers. Hope you are negative as Corona is concerned and positive as hope is concerned. Let me recite the club mission. The mission of Toastmaster Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Now it's time to introduce our president of professional speakers. He comes from a community, obviously human being, but lazy in speaking. He believes that is chartered accountants. When we say Toastmaster Mukesh, then we certainly say it is not ladies or your energetic and passionate person. In 2009, he authored Guide to Financial Instrument published by Taxman Publications. He enjoys watching movies, traveling to new places, and playing chess. He indulges in many adventures, including but not limited to coming to the stage frequently. A Toastmaster for more than 5 years, he is on his way to become a voracious reader, writer, and speaker. Please put your hands together for distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh Thakur.
Steve Jobs said, if you want to do something that you really care about, then you don't have to be pushed. Your vision pulls you. Good evening, members and guests. When I look at the dedication of professional speakers or the members of professional speakers, I can see how much efforts you are putting in your real life, how much dedicated you are in your personal life and your professional life. I can see all of you are already on a mission. Still you are not getting some any time for Toastmasters or professional speaker. Still, whenever you are getting time and how much time you are getting, you are pulling everything together and making our every weekly meeting perfect. You are not pushed by anyone else because you are being pushed by your vision, the vision that you see for yourself and the vision that you see for professional speakers. Because we are here to develop ourselves, we are here to challenge ourselves, and we are here to grow with every meeting. With this spirit, let's dive into the 148th meeting of professional speakers where eloquence meets impact. I thank all the members and guests who have joined today us in our meeting. Please welcome with a huge round of applause our guest as well as the role player of the day as a timer, guest Jim. Please welcome Margarita. Please welcome Taiba. Please welcome our Power Talk speaker Sanjani Sen Gupta. Please welcome Rashmi Sikri. Please welcome Turbi. I thank all of the guests to be with us today. I hope you will enjoy the meeting. We have a lined up events in our meeting, and I hope we will meet your expectations as professional speakers. Being a member of professional speaker is a privilege. At the same time, it is a responsibility. It is a challenge. We push ourselves in every meeting. We chase our dream, we chase our goals. Either we are in the meeting or we are outside the meeting. Let's encourage our members as they recite their short-term goals and their progress in the current meeting, in the current week.
Good evening, professional speakers. This is Aditya. I have two short, smart goals. One of them is to increase my social media engagement. I plan to achieve it by publishing at least 3 posts every week. And second is to increase my reading speed. I plan to achieve that by reading at least 100 pages a week. Due to the ongoing pandemic and the COVID situation at my place and a few connections place, I've been helping them out with their COVID situation. I haven't been able to completely follow this track, but I plan to get back on track very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anisha, and my first short-term goal at Professional Speakers is to track and reduce the use of filler sounds and repeated words in my verbal communication. I've been specially doing it at Toastmasters meeting, and I have been practicing to do it in my regular life as well. For the progress, I started this out in March, and I am maintaining a tracker of these filler sounds. I hope to reduce them by half by the end of April. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Honey here? Surely.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I am Jolly Sharma, and I have joined Professional Speakers recently, and my smart goals are to have an increase in my vocabulary, and also I am planning to write and publish my first professional blog in the coming quarter.
Thank you, Jolly. I am Mukesh Thakur, and my short-term goals at Professional Speakers is to deliver 100 speeches in 100 days. In this week, I have written 7 speeches, and I have delivered 7 speeches. The total written speeches has reached 74, and delivered speech reaches 52. Now the stage of completion is 63%, a growth of 7% from the last week.
Good evening, everyone. I am Raj Mehta. My short-term goals are making at least 3 videos of 5 to 10 minutes per week. Last week, I could make only 2 videos, and that also 5 to 7 minutes. And my second short-term goal is to write 2 stories. I could not write any story last week. Sorry for that. And my third goal is to read and practice and improve my pronunciation, and I have been reading 2 pages per day and trying to improve my voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
my short-term goal is to qualify for the District 41 evaluation and international speech contest finals. As you can see, the numbers have changed a lot in the live ones, but not in the demo ones that I give on my own. Situation at home is not really conducive for me to practice much. A lot of disturbances happening. Because of that, I was, in spite of that, I was able to practice my speech 19 times in a live environment. And I would like to thank Jim Vaughan, Margarita, Sanchita, and Bharat, who are present here, because they were a big support at one point or the other. Thank you very much for your support, guys. Evaluations, whenever I find the time, they're slightly more easier because they do not require an elaborate setup. I just have to sit. I am hoping to push the number of evaluations to somewhere around 50, and I'm trying to cross speech practice by to across 30. Ambitious goals, but let me see how I go with that. I will need speech slots, so let's see how it goes, and I'll keep you posted on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I have two SMART goals for this quarter, that is by 30th of June. One is to have the better command on English language by practicing grammar online, by achieving the accuracy of 80%. Last score was 63%, and which gives me indication to improve further. And secondly, to improve vocal variety through reading by regularly half an hour daily. So I have started the novel Power of Unconscious Mind, and I'm on it. Over to you, presiding officer.
Thank you very much. Can we have a huge round of applause for all of our members who are putting their efforts? And also I thank you all the members who have honestly said that they were not able to change our goals. Let's push ourselves more, because as I said, when we want to do something, we don't want to be pushed. Our vision pulls up, and then if you are determined to do something, your vision will keep pushing you. Now, as we proceed to our meeting number 148, I have our Toastmaster of the day, who is bringing something really exciting for all of us. I am not sure what will be the content. As far as the theme is concerned, it is amazing, and I am looking forward to see what he has to say. Our Toastmaster of the day, Aditya, describes himself as a listener, learner, and a speaker. He lives his life on the inside out philosophy and by the law of 33%. He spends 33% of the time with people who are way ahead of him and learn from them. He spends 33% of the time with peers, family, and friends. And the rest 33% sharing those learnings with others and help them grow. He's on a mission to lead a meaningful life and impact 1 million lives by 2030. With a huge round of applause, please welcome on the virtual stage our Toastmaster of the day, Aditya Gupta.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh Thakur, for that wonderful introduction. How many of us are aware of defense mechanisms? Any random thoughts? What are defense mechanisms? Feel free to unmute and share a few words.
Making excuses.
Making excuses is one. What else?
Going into denial.
Going into denial, yes, that's one of the defense mechanisms. What else?
Moving away.
Moving away, yes, that's another one. And why do we make these defense, or why do these defense mechanisms come into play? Any idea? Like distinguished Toastmaster.
Lack of interest.
Sorry?
Lack of interest.
Lack of interest, yes. If you talk about lack of interest.
To protect ourselves.
Vaccination.
To protect ourselves for vaccination. So vaccination is a different kind of defense mechanism. Currently, what we'll talk about is the defense mechanism used by our ego to protect ourselves from what it thinks is or are potential threats. As described by Anne Freud in her book Ego and the Mechanisms of Defense. Anne Freud was a psychoanalyst, daughter of the famous psychologist Sigmund Freud. Defense mechanisms are the games that our brain plays to protect us from possible emotional harms. And it does so by distorting reality, by mending it the way we would like it to be. So in a nutshell, our brain distorts reality and it shows a picture which is different from the truth, which we would like the truth to be, but it's not actual truth. The idea behind using these defense mechanisms is to instinctively protect us, not us, but one of the subtlest parts of us, which is called our ego, which is our acceptable picture of who we are. The problem with using these mechanisms is in trying to avoid pain in the immediate term, we hamper our chances of dealing with reality in the long term, and therefore hamper our chances of maturing and developing as an adult. One of the most common defense mechanisms is projection. The other is regression, denial, fantasy, etc. Out of which denial is the most well-known. Denial is the outright refusal to accept or recognize that something has occurred or is currently going on. In the current context, sadly, a lot of people in our country and around the globe are in denial of the current pandemic. Even after repeated incidents that have been happening, they are not very serious about their health, about the health of the people around them, of their community. They are still not following social distancing protocols, not using sanitizers, not wearing masks in public places. That's one of the examples of denial. The other is projection. Projection means we attribute our shortcomings and feelings, or bad feelings or good feelings, that we have in somebody else. You might feel that you are judged by a lot of people, but in reality, they might be quite understandable and sympathetic. The harsh things are not in other people, but in us. In 2019, I remember competing in the district finals of the International Speech Contest held at Calcutta. It was the night, rather the morning before the actual contest. I woke up at 4 a.m., went to the hall and started practicing all by myself. An hour later, another fellow contestant comes by in the hall. And my instinct is I shouldn't practice my speech because that Toastmaster is a competition. He or she would know what I'm doing on the stage and may or may not copy. And that feelings within me came from whatever I heard from the ongoing Toastmasters, that as you climb up the ladder in the International Speech Contest, the behaviors of people change. To my surprise, that Toastmaster humbly agreed to, in fact, offered to help me improve my speech on the spot. She gave me a tip on how I can reduce 30 seconds of my speech, which, by the way, my speech was 8 minutes long. She helped me reduce it to 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Also gave me small tips on how I can use the existing props in a better manner. So in the first part of this incident, I was projecting my own negative feelings onto her. But in reality, she was pretty humble and she did not look at me in this competition the way I did. She had a far bigger belief, a far bigger vision. That was a lesson for me right there. Third defense mechanism is regression. Regression is when things become tough, we often regress to a way of behaving we practiced when we were younger. In particularly, we act like children do to evade responsibility. One of my regressive behavior is the way I used to behave in my childhood. I wasn't a very social person. So I used to lock myself up in the room and just spend with myself and play games on my then laptop and desktop. In current times, if I were to get too stressed with my work, I disconnect myself from the outside world and start playing games on this. That's my regressive behavior. And these are three very common defense mechanisms used by our ego in our daily lives. If you'd like to know more about them, I recommend you read the book Ego and the Mechanisms of Defense by Anne Freud. You will be intrigued at the games our ego plays to distort reality You will also be intrigued by the structure of our meeting. Allow me to share my screen with you. Please give a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Thank you. Professional Speakers follows a unique format to help its members in their professional speaking journey. Our meeting has 6 important segments. The first session was the business segment, where our members presented a report on the progress of their short-term goals. The second segment is a professional speech, where a member delivers his or her professional speech in precisely 18 minutes. Our third segment consists of a prepared speech sections, where 2 of our members deliver their speeches as per Toastmasters International Education. In our fourth segment of the meeting, Table Topic Master will invite 5 or 6 of you, including guests, and you will be asked to speak on a topic on the spot given by the Table Topic Master for 1 to 2 minutes. In the fifth segment of our meeting, we invite an established speaker who gives us an insight into professional speaking with her power talk. Today, we have an honor of having distinguished Toastmaster Srinjini Sengupta agreeing to deliver a power talk at our club. Thank you so much for joining us. In the sixth segment is for evaluation, where general evaluator will evaluate the entire meeting with the help of TAC team and audience. Today, our general evaluator is distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh Thakur, and his TAC team comprises of his Toastmaster Sandeep Kumar as the accounter, Toastmaster Jim Wan as the timer, distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder Singh as the grammarian, and you as the evaluators. That being said, I request the grammarian to introduce the word of the day.
I was given to understand that I'm the accounter.
I think there's some miscommunication with the agenda.
I can do grammarian. That's not a problem. Okay. Our word of the day is repurpose, which essentially means altering the original purpose of something. For example, I like the way how Toastmaster Aditya repurposed his humorous speech for the international contest speech. Another example could be, I absolutely love in these pandemic times, I would strongly recommend that we repurpose our lives towards happiness, towards our own well-being. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing the word of the day. It's now time that we move to the second segment of our meeting, which is a professional speech segment. And to deliver our professional speech today, we have Toastmaster Anisha Gupta. Anisha is known for being the quiet one, yet inquisitive with a lot of questions. Others better brace themselves. She has moved from developing tech products to developing human capital. Currently, she works with the NGO Barefoot College International as a trainer, empowering rural educators. She has rejoined the Toastmasters community after her CCALB experience and aspires to become a strong storyteller and community enabler. You can find her practicing stillness of mind, movement of body, oneness with nature, or just hopping around looking for food, if not busy lucid dreaming in her sleep. Ask her about living in rural places after moving around 6 cities. With a virtual round of applause, please help me welcome our professional speaker, Anisha Gupta. Hacks to surviving a village life. Hacks to surviving a village life, Toastmaster Anisha Gupta.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Definitely this phrase was started in Rome, but I think this is applicable in all our lives, especially if you are going to live in a village. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, and fellow Earthlings. Today, I'm going to give you some hacks of living in a village and surviving the rural life. In the past 2 years, I have moved from cities, after hopping around cities, to living in a village in different parts of India. I was first living in Rajasthan, where I moved for work. After which, I have moved to Himachal Pradesh in a cute small hamlet in the district of Solan. And this is my presentation on how you can survive the village life. This is me when I came to Solan in the village of Jagjit Nagar for the first time, which was at the start of this year, 2021. I will present to you how you can move through different strategies, what approaches you can use to survive through the village life. And these are the 3 strategies that I want to show. The first is use the head, hands, and heart approach. By head, you have to think what you really want to do. What is the purpose? Meet the locals, think through it. Hands, you have to involve a lot of hands-on work to be able to maneuver through your life here. You will not get as many facilities as you expect to have, and a lot of work will have to be done by your hands. And definitely heart, because you first need to connect to the local life before you can start on presenting ideas, start on giving back to the society. A lot of people come to the village life thinking that, okay, there is a lot to explore. This is going to be a vacation spot, or some people also see a lot of challenges. When you think through all these elements, the head, the hands, and the heart, you are able to connect completely to the people and the culture. The second approach that I want you all to be thinking through is think global and act local. If you're coming from a city background, you would have exposure to different ideas around the world. But when you're coming to the village, you have to act locally. Bring your ideas, you can implement them, or just see how people have been doing it in the village. And thirdly, and the most important one, be a monkey. Well, not literally a monkey, but we humans have a very strong nature of imitating human behavior. So be a monkey, see what is going around you, and be it. It is very important to listen what is being to the locals. Listen to the people on the ground, and you will find the best of the solutions. So here, with these 3 approaches, the head, heart, hand, think global, act local. Glocal is that's how the Indians call it. And being a monkey is how to approach it. Now I will run you through a few questions where you will have to figure out what you want to do. What is it? And I want to ask the audience over here. What is it when you think that you would want to do when you reach a village for the first time?
Drive a tractor.
Commute. Okay.
Food preferences.
Food.
Would like to go to some farmlands.
Yes.
Pluck fruits from the trees.
Thank you.
Climb trees.
Climb trees, yes, a monkey in nature. Right. So these many activities that we think that we want to do. Okay, we are going to see what villagers are doing. We often see that villagers are often involved in the agricultural occupations. People drive around tractors, people walk, commute, people farm, and we want to explore that nature, closeness to nature that we do not get in the cities, in the comfort of our homes in the metro areas. So I'll try to cover these aspects with, first of all, the most primitive one and the most important one and the most closest to my heart, how to figure out food. To figure out food, of course, you would, if you're going for someone like me, I went to a campus at the Barefoot College International in Rajasthan. It's a small village called Tilonia. I went there, I was posted there for my work, and I was living at a campus. We had our own mess. So the definite option that becomes is having the mess food. But if you're picky and choosy about your food, you will have to figure out alternatives. And no, you're not going to pick up your phone. You're not going to open the Zomato app and call a Zomato delivery or a Swiggy guy. You will have to move around and find alternatives. Few alternatives that I suggest: grow your own food. Not the best, not the most quickest one to do, but definitely a very productive and environment friendly option. This is a picture of sarson or mustard growing in the campus where I am right now. This is a kitchen garden built up by the organization, and they keep on planting seeds for locally or growing this foods. It's the best part about the cook in my campus is she goes just outside the mess. She picks up, plucks these leaves, and especially sarson and mustard, as we call it, especially favored in this region, and it's very seasonal and healthy. The second one is to go and eat with the locals at communal meals like this one. This is a picture of a langar happening in my current location, Himachal. Well, this is how villages have communal meals, whether it's a festival, whether it's a regional, a religious practice, or someone is throwing a party. Communal meals are very common, very friendly, and this is where you get to hear a lot of stories about the people over there, the culture, and especially the cuisine. So this is where you get to meet those people and to hear the village life stories. And you also get to relish local cuisines like this. This is a malpua, which is very popular here in the Himachal region, and which eventually you won't find in the market. So this is how you figure out your food. Other options are definitely cooking your own. I am trying to set up my own kitchen garden, which is going to take a bit of more time. But these are my hacks to how figuring out the food. Next, we come down to commute. Tractor is definitely a good option, and if you have access to one. But other ways is which is I'm going to provide. Definitely using the public transport is what you should be looking out for. When I came here to the village of Jagjit Nagar, I saw that there are a lot of four-wheelers, SUVs, the best of the newest of models of four-wheelers you would find over here. But what you need to refer down to is using the public transport. This is the picture of the local train and that runs outside the village of Rajasthan, where I was posted earlier. These tracks are laid down on the road, and you have to cross a hill to reach this track and wait for the trains and for hours and hours. But this is the moment when you are actually able to connect with heart. You get to meet people over here. You get to talk to them. Again, you get to know the culture and the stories through such transport. But the second most important thing is not reducing your carbon footprint. So you reduce your carbon footprint by using public transport or just using your own 2 feet. Most of the villagers walk down from their home locations, living locations, to their work locations. Their work locations could be fields. Their work locations could be offices nearby. They walk kilometers and kilometers. This is a picture of a campus in the same village of Rajasthan. I used to have my room over here, and I used to walk every morning and 2 kilometers to reach my office space in another campus. Walking is the best method, whether you are in the plain regions or you are in the hilly regions. This is a picture of a fellow villager. She coordinates at the organization that I currently work with, Mrs. Nirmal. Mrs. Nirmal, in this picture, has just trekked uphill from a location where we both went for a communal meal. She walks every day 2 kilometers, 2 to 3 kilometers, as just to reach our office space. And this inspires me a lot. And I too take this 20-minute walking every day for my commute. And that is the time when I get the best of the pictures, the best of the photography, the best of the moments, and my time to introspect. Next, we move on to what and how to work. Well, if you have gone to a village for a vacation, you don't need to figure this out. Maybe you can volunteer, or maybe you can find some work, or maybe just be at leisure. But if you have gone there to really contribute or for any work purpose, then getting engaged with the locals, getting involved with other people is what you can do. This is a picture of few kids around the village campus of Rajasthan. They were at their home because of the lockdown. Their schools were off, but they didn't want to be idle in their time. So this is, they just grabbed scrap material from around their house, from the cupboard section or the scrap section, and they are building this house structure, which I was taken aback and really surprised to see. This scrap structure that they were building had minute of the details, and it was definitely an architectural masterpiece. I contributed by bringing my own ideas and what could be done, and this is a memory for me. This is how we work at our office space. This is my current office space right now. Though I do have a room to myself, but I like to sit outside, right, and just be out in the open and work. And the hack over here is that always look out for open spaces. Probably with the pandemic going on, and if you go back to your homes, and when I go back to my home, I might not find this open space to relish. The next thing is to contribute. Engage locally and volunteer. Whether you're on a vacation, whether you're there for a purpose, as at every space, you must be contributing. And this is an act of volunteering. Where here we see that the local staff is volunteering, and we call it Shramdan, and which is an act of volunteering through physical labor, physical effort. And this happened after our whole campus was really unclean after windy storms, and this is what we done. Another act of volunteering, here we are trying to build a structure, another office space in the village of Rajasthan, and we get together with the locals, contribute and help bring up new ideas. Now, after food, commuter, and work, we also need to enjoy. We're there to explore the culture over there. So how to enjoy? Well, again, get in local. think whatever ideas you have, act local. So this is a picture of girls dancing in a workshop, and I was happy to contribute. I could do some choreography with the kids over there. Again, this is a picture of a communal event that was happening and in a local village of Himachal. Well, they were celebrating, of course, with their dance, and this is the enjoyment that you should be looking out for. What to take back after you have done all that enjoyment, you have gone, you have spoken to people? Well, take back the local solutions. On the left-hand side, you see a picture of how waste material, these dripping bottles that you are just thrown out of local hospitals and dispensaries, are repurposed and a nursery. And this is a local solution that you need to take back. On the right-hand side, there's an event going on the birth anniversary of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. And this is where they're talking about and making people aware of the values that Mahatma Gandhi used to teach. So this is how you enjoy. This is how what you take back. You take back the local solutions, you take back the local conversations, and these are the most important ones to do. Nevertheless, never forget that you are here to explore, to enjoy, and to engage. I'll just wrap up this conversation with, again, how the hacks of surviving the village life. Always think from head, use your hands, and use your heart to connect. Think global and act local, and be a monkey. Just be there to listen to people, and be there to listen to people, because people at the ground have the best solutions. All the best to you, Earthlings, and you are most invited to join me in my journey of trying to figure out how to survive the village life. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Anisha, for that interesting talk. Good to see the comeback of the monkeys in your speech this week. And before I forget, here is the round of virtual applause for your talk. We'll now observe a minute of silence for everybody to write their feedback. You will be asked to share your feedback in the evaluation section. With that, the 1 minute is up. Now it's time to move to a very interesting segment of our meeting, the table topic section. And heading our table topic section is distinguished Toastmaster Raj Mehta. He's a visiting faculty trainer, soft skills trainer, and speaker on entrepreneurship, innovation, and incubation, and is also a 2 times distinguished Toastmaster. He's fond of listening and watching birds, people, greenery, and music. A progressive learner and experimenter, he strongly believes that perseverance shall take you places. I look up to this person for his dedication, discipline, and due diligence in terms of serving the roles, whether it's at an executive level or as a role player in the meeting. And I really love his attention to detail towards the things that he has. Please help me welcome with a virtual round of applause your table topics master for this meeting, distinguished Toastmaster Raj Mehta.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Aditya Gupta. Friends, now we are at a section where you will practice speaking, but this practice will be on a topic given by me, and this session will help you master in responding to different situations when you are not ready for that. Every speaker shall be given a time of 2 minutes. On completion of 1 minute, the timer will show green card. On completion of 1.5 minutes, the timer will show yellow card. And on completion of 2 minutes, the timer will show red card. As members of the club shall be getting opportunities of speaking, in one way or the other, I would like to give this opportunity to the guests to come on the stage and take part in the table topic session. So for that, may I request Sanchita Stalker to be your first speaker. Sanchita.
Thank you, Mr. Raj Mehta.
Okay.
Do I have to choose the number or how is?
So Sanchita,
Yes.
your topic is, whenever you climb, you are followed by a dog called ego. How would you keep you safe from that dog?
Could you please repeat the topic?
Whenever you climb, you are followed by a dog called ego. How would you keep yourself safe from the dog?
Okay.
Over to Sanchita.
Thank you, Mr. Raj Mehta, for touching upon the important aspect of ego that plays games with our minds every now and then. It is a human nature to feel egoistic whenever you climb up the ladder or achieve something, especially that you are proud of. So I myself try to keep, I won't say I'm not an egoistic person, but it is a part of the nature. Like I said, it is being human. So whenever I achieve something or I go to the door of ego, I try to remind myself of people who are up the ladder, who have achieved more in their life and who are still down to earth. I think they inspire me to remain down to earth, and I have seen all my life that people who are truly great are down to earth even if they reach the top of the ladder. Over to you, Mr. Raj Mehta. Thank you. I think you are on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Sanchita. May I now request Yogita Sethi to unmute herself and put her video on so that I can ask a topic from her. So Yogita.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay, Yogita, your topic is, if ego seeks to divide and separate, what, according to you, seeks to unify and heal? If ego seeks to divide and separate, what, according to you, seeks to unify and heal? Over to Yogita.
So what did you say? Unify and
Heal.
heal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, according to me, there are two things. One is to act with compassion. If we are compassionate, it takes care of our ego. And if we are grateful, if we do things with gratitude in mind, uh, that also takes care of ego. So ego will never set in if we are working from a mindset to give to the society. And whatever we do, and if we are grateful to the higher purpose that we are looking for, and if we are grateful to the greater power which is making us do things, is what I feel these are the two things: compassion and gratitude, which will take care of us not getting into too much of an egoistic state of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogita. That was nice. Moving on, may I request Bharat Nangia, Mr. Bharat Nangia, to unmute himself. Mr. Bharat, topic for you is okay. Topic for you is, how would you make your ego porous? How would you make your ego porous? Bharat Nangia.
How do you make?
Your ego porous.
तो आपने देखा कि एक छोटी सी ऐप बनाने के लिए हमें कितने सारे लोग चाहिए होते हैं। तो अगर आपको सुपर विन की ऐप बनानी थी, एनालिस्ट ने सोचा कि क्या बनाना है, डिजाइनर ने सोचा कि कैसे बनाना है, डेवलपर ने बनाया और टेस्ट कर रहा है।
I'm sorry, there is something.
ये जो
Okay. Moving on, may I request Toastmaster Margarita to take the next topic? Margarita.
DTM Mehta, I'm ready.
Okay, thank you, Margarita. How does ego kill everything but itself? How does ego kill everything but itself? Over to Margarita.
Fellow Toastmasters, and very simply, because I completely disagree with the statement. The statement being that ego is killing everything but myself is insofar wrong, because ultimately it does kill ourselves. And why? We as human beings are individuals who are living based on having relationships with other people. A big ego, by extension, if I kill myself, regardless of whether my ego is grand, whether my ego seemingly is helping me, whether it is sustaining me, it kills me ultimately, simply because I will not have friends any longer. I will not have a family that supports me, and probably my wonderful dog as well, Mr. Table.
Thank you, Margarita. That was wonderful. May I request Sheikh Rahmat to unmute. Sheikh Rahmat, are you there? Moving on, may I request Madhusudan to unmute and take the next topic?
Hi, Raj. I'm
Hello,
ready.
Madhusudan. Yeah, thank you. Madhusudan, topic for you is how does identity brings ego with it? How does identity brings ego with it? Over to you, Madhusudan.
Hello, Toastmasters and friends. Identity and ego are very synonymous, in my opinion. And ego, by definition, would be a defense mechanism for one's own identity or one's own representation of what they feel that they are all about. So ego is often a misunderstood term, and usually it is taken in a negative connotance. And in my opinion, I feel that ego is a very powerful tool if used in the right manner. And it can also become too overpowering and all-encompassing if it's let loose. And in that fashion, identity is something that is preserved. We talked about defense mechanisms at the beginning of the session. And I think ego is also a kind of a defense mechanism that protects your own identity. But it also can become something that is a projection of something that you're not. And that is where it will kill your actual identity and transform you into something that you might not even recognize when you look in the mirror, or in retrospect, if you think about things that you've done in the moments that ego has taken over your psyche. So I feel these are very synonymous, and that's all I would like to say.
Thank you, Madhusudan.
I'm available now.
That is good. Okay, Mr. Bharat. I'll repeat your topic. How would you make your ego porous? How would you make your ego porous? Over to Bharat.
Ego. Do we not all have it? I'm told to make an ego for you. I want to be floored. I don't want to have any ego or make any ego for anyone. For me, I was listening to the beautiful hack of living in a village, the workshop. I have been in the villages before, on the field, the smell of the mud, everywhere, such a beautiful environment. Do those guys have any egos? The farmer on the farm, plowing all day. If I was to make an ego, it would be that ego of the farmer, slowly and slowly plowing his farm. Nothing else in mind, just to feed his family. The nature all around him, giving him the sense of being grounded. Still, I have to make an ego. For me, the best ego would be to lie low, stay grounded. And that is what I would recommend to my fellow Toastmasters too. Back to you.
Mr. Timer, Toastmaster J, may I please ask you to how much time I'm left with? Total time for the TT session is 15 minutes. Jim?
Yeah, I'm here. Just checking.
Yeah, can you please tell me how much time I'm left with? Can I take one or two topics?
For the
You have one more. You can do one more.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Jim, okay. Seema, would you like to go up with the next topic?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Topic for you is, how is the ego a reflection of inferiority as well as superiority? How is the ego a reflection of inferiority as well as superiority? Seema.
Thank you for this wonderful topic. I feel ego is equivalent to inferiority as well as superiority. However, it has to take with mindset only, because ego is nothing. It's all about having dilemma where a person is himself or herself not clear about himself, not clear about he or she thinks either he is inferior or superior, which is in my perception completely wrong, because ego is ideally nothing. It is all about having a reflection towards others, like that if I'm doing so well, then I am better than others. If I'm not able to do something good, then maybe that person start doubting himself. So I feel it's important not to have ego, rather person should be down to earth. A person should always do the best and leave the rest, because nothing is permanent, whether it's a success or a failure. Yes, failure is a part of a success, and when one gets the success, it should not get into head where a person feels egoistic and person has ego tussles, because everyone knows that if anyone wants to do anything, for that it's important to have collaborative skills where a person has to work with everyone, a teamwork, which means together everyone achieves more. On the contrary, if one gets the success and gets the success in his mind, then that success is inferior and he or she is not going to have it further. Therefore, it is vital in order to maintain consistency, success throughout, one has to be persistent, one has to have a perseverance, and one has to have a right mindset where he or she must think that it's not I, rather it is we. Therefore, whether it's inferiority or superiority, nothing is going to work. Rather, it is the right mindset. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Seema. Thank you all the speakers who spoke in the table topic session. With this, we conclude with this session. Over to Toastmaster of the day, Aditya Gupta.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Raj Mehta, for conducting a wonderful table topic section. A virtual round of applause for you as well. Next, I forgot we are not supposed to speak while the audience is applauding. Next, we move to a prepared speech section. Today, coming up with a prepared speech, we have Toastmaster Jolly Sharma. She is a product manager by profession, a nature lover and foodie by heart. She loves knowing about different people, exploring destinations and cultures. Toastmasters is a way of life for her. Each and every interaction, whether it's personal or professional, she feels the impact of Toastmasters everywhere. She'll be delivering her level 2 project 2, Connect with Storytelling from Dynamic Leadership. With a virtual round of applause, please help me welcome Toastmaster Jolly Sharma with her speech title, WFH to WFO. WFH to WFO, Toastmaster Jolly Sharma. Please unmute.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Aditya. My dear fellow members and guests. WFH to WFO. It is not only that the last letter H had changed to O, but there are many aspects that has transitioned over for me. Today, I would like to share my story of work from home to work from office. It was 3rd of March that the pandemic, I felt for the first time the effects of the pandemic in 3rd of March 2020. And slowly as it started gearing up its effect, I felt it even in the professional front also. It was around 16th or 20th of March that we received an advisory from our office that we have to start working from home. And I was overjoyed because every day I stay in Dwarka and I have to commute to my office, which is 2 hours from here. It's by my office cab. So every day the commutation time for me is 4 hours. That is really painful, though I have been wearing that for past 8 years. All of you might be surprised, but I love my office so much. So I was overjoyed that for the first time, I'm going to work from home, and even my office has granted that, and I'll get ample of time now. Those 4 hours I'll be saving every day, and I can just sleep more. I can cook for myself. I can just be with my kids, because otherwise I do not get that other than the weekends. So slowly I started to enjoy the work from home. And my current project was also over, and I was in the pool. Now, for some of you who doesn't know that what pool is a basically where you are not having any project from the company perspective, but you are still a part of the organization, and you spend the time on learning or just doing any of the stuffs that you want, but still you have to manage your time efficiently. But slowly, when it was almost a month over and I was just enjoying my time at home with my kids and cooking the different recipes and even trying my hand at the gardening, being with nature, having a walk every day with my hubby, and talking to all the relatives. Even they were surprised, right? That nowadays she calls up me almost every weekend or almost any day, but that was not the usual case all these years. So I was pretty happy. But slowly, after a month, the dreadful situation of the COVID started hitting back the job market. And even my company was not the one which was not impacted, because quarterly their business was also getting affected. And I heard many companies had started laying off their resources. But in our company, they made a decision not to lay off. They started utilizing the pool resources and even reskilling them and putting them into the projects. Then I realized that it's not only that I have to work for 8 hours or so, I have to start reskilling myself and take up new projects, maybe reskill myself into some new technologies or in some of the domains that I have not yet worked on. And finally, I bagged a new project and then started working on that wholeheartedly. And soon it was June and then July, and I bagged another new advisory wherein I had to work for a few months on study the client, business, and basically come up with a solution. So I was leading almost one advisory at that time and another 2 projects around October or November. I suddenly started working more than 8 hours a day. It was sometimes 10 hours, sometimes 12, sometimes 14, and sometimes 16. At times, I used to just sleep for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I was totally away from everything. Then I realized there was news from my home that my father was not well, and I flied off there. And when I came back from all those situations at my hometown and spending some time with my in-laws as well, then there was another advisory that I received that now we have to go back to office. Now I had butterflies in my stomach because all these days I forgot how to dress myself, and even bodily, my tummy was also coming out. Somehow all the dresses were just going unsized, and I was just wondering how to go to office, because which cab to take, how to go there. And finally, the next day when I landed up with the cab and to my office, I was asked to show that whether I have that Arogya Setu app installed or not. And I showed it to that receptionist, and then she allowed me. I saw that there was proper social distancing that were being maintained. And few of my teammates whom I was talking to every day, when I saw them, I could not even recognize them. When they wished me, I was totally taken aback, because I imagined them to be the way I imagined them to be by seeing their virtual photographs. That was not the case in the reality. And it took me, friends, almost 15 minutes to basically come back out of that shock. Somewhere I felt that maybe in this COVID times, I've just forgotten how to recognize people and how to relate the situations to the normal reality. So I was totally confused. That day was very hectic for me. And coming back to home that day, I just wanted to hit my bed, but that was not the case. I had to again run up with my evening meetings up to 12:30. And after 12:30, I was just wondering what did all happen. So my dear friends, I would like to say that even though I went to office that day, I was just wondering, that was not the way I used to work. And it was not the mere change of that letter from H to O, but entire perspective, the way I used to work, the way I used to interact with everyone, everything had changed. And this pandemic had changed all the definitions of my work life as well as my personal life. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Jolly, for sharing your experience. I just hope when professional speakers in person, we don't face any challenges in recognizing ourselves and our fellow members. We now observe, and I did it again, walked into laughter. We'll now observe a minute of silence. Members and guests, please write your feedback. You'll be asked to share your feedback in the evaluation section. The 1 minute is up. It's now time to move to the Power Talk segment of our meeting. And to deliver today's Power Talk, we have distinguished Toastmaster Sinjini Sengupta with us. She is the founder of Lighthouse. She's currently incubated at IIM Bangalore. She's an author, a TEDx speaker, a distinguished Toastmaster, a columnist, keynote speaker, and actuary. She's the national president of Mentoring in Soft Skills, WICCI. She's a mentor of Change, Niti Aayog. She's the champion of She Rose, also a mentor for Jobs for Her. She's also a jury at Global Chamber of Commerce. With a virtual round of applause, please help me welcome DTM Distinguished Toastmaster Sinjini Sengupta with her Power Talk, Art and the Artist. Art and the Artist, Distinguished Toastmaster Sinjini Sengupta.
Thank you so much, Aditya. And it's always a pleasure to come to professional speakers. And like every other opportunity, I'm once again awed at the structure, the design, and the meticulous planning that goes behind any of your meeting. So my privilege and my honor to be talking to you. So today we would talk about big people. artists and people who make it big, not us. We are like mere mortals, as Anisha said, earthlings. We are going to talk about big ones, okay? But before we start, I just wanted to ask you a simple question, if you would indulge me. And also, do most of you have a pen and a paper to write on? If you show your hand, awesome. So why don't we do this? In the honor of time, let's just jot down a few replies as I ask you a couple of questions, easy ones. What did you love to do as a child? What did you do as a child in your free time? I don't need sentences, just broken phrases would do. Words or stick figures also. Do you still do that? What you love to do as a child? When did you stop? Why did you stop? Did somebody tell you you are not good enough? Was it the pressure of academics? Was it that infamous formula of the roadmap to success? A very warm thank you and greetings to each one of you. Good afternoon, and I'm Shinjini Sengupta, and let's talk a little bit about things. Michelangelo, when people asked him what went behind David, as we all know, David, the very, very, very famous history-cracking sculpture of the perfect man. Michelangelo said that, I did not create David. I saw an angel stuck in a block of marble, and I carved until I set him free. He also said that when I got this clear vision of David, I chipped away at everything that was not David. And thus David was born. When I look at each one of you on the screen just now, including myself, I suspect that there is a David inside each one of us. Not in a cage of marble like the sculpture of David, but very similar, in a cage of flesh and bones and blood. There is that somebody in there. That somebody who was big in his or her own eyes as a child. That somebody who didn't care enough about how big or how small his or her art is. Somebody who once made art. Do you also see that person on the screen? But why should we make art? I mean, we have got more important stuff to do. We are all grown-up adults. We are busy adulting, right? The reason you should make art is that you are born an artist. Take it. You are born an artist. You are born to be an artist. Your soul is of the shape of a snowflake. Each one of your soul, each one of our souls are different from each other's, and there's a reason behind it. Nature cannot go wrong. Nature cannot go wrong when it gives us a separate face, a separate thumbprint, a separate handwriting, a separate voice, a separate soul. And the only way we can do due honor to that is by making art. Art gives us joy. And somehow in our way of life, we have figured that joy is bad for success. And therefore, in the formula of success, we have brutally murdered joy and creative abundance from our own lives. But is it just a selfish pursuit to make art, to be an artist? I would argue no. we humans, apart from being souls in the shape of snowflakes, are also a bit like werewolves. We don't tell our truth. We dress up like everybody else. We carry mark sheets like everybody else, and we go to job like everybody else. But on certain moonlit nights, something happens, something shifts inside, and we stand up and speak our truth. And we stand up and make our art. And when we do that, another thing happens. Maybe immediately it is followed up by a bit of an awkward silence, a bit of a judgment. Is she good enough? Is the art good enough? We were talking a lot about ego today. And while ego may make you feel like you are an exaggerated personality and the universe revolves around you, the other side of ego is that it makes you full of self-doubt. Am I good enough? Is my art good enough? But what happens with this werewolf nature of us is that the moment you stand up and make your art, the moment you stand up and speak your truth, the moment you stand up and share your story, soon enough it is followed by many small voices, almost in whispers. Me too. I too love to draw. I too love to play the guitar. Oh my God, when did I stop doing that? Your art is not your selfish pursuit. Your art is your community work. Your art is your way to empathize with the world. Your art is your way to make the world a global village. But how does art help us in our practical lives? I mean, we have got to pay our bills, right? I have got an answer for that as well, for you, just for you. So you look around and see the economics of the world today. Which are the biggest companies? A Google, a Facebook, each one of them born out of garages by first generation entrepreneurs without deep pockets, just equipped with one powerful creative idea. Of one idea of a world that did not exist before them, that they created, and therefore that happened. That's the requirement, that's the need, that's the application, that's the burning desire of art in today's world. In today's world, machines can really do most of the things we used to do in the industrial age, and the only way left to be human is to be human, to pursue your individuated presence, to pursue your own idea beyond your score sheets and beyond your office admission certificates and success and salary slips. It is the time to stand up and be you. And the only way you can be you is by owning your art. It took me a whole lot of time, a whole lot of breaking down and breaking open and coming to power and rediscovering myself to come home to my own soul of the snowflake and my own sense of art. And with art also, the next thing that immediately follows is a sense of mission, because our art remains very cooped up unless we give a sense of purpose to it. Our art is not the end. Our art is a mission, is the means to that end, which is our purpose. And it took me a whole lot of time, but when I arrived at my purpose, it became so to help others find their own David, to help others make art, to make others believe that they too are David stuck in a marble, waiting to be set free. I invite each one of you listening to me today, let's repurpose ourselves. Let's work on this. Let's look for David. The world needs you. The world needs your art. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. After your talk, I am pretty sure I'm going to be the next Michelangelo. I'm going to paint after this. Nice. Moving on to the next section of our meeting, the general evaluation section. And leading that segment is our general evaluator for the day, distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh Thakur. He comes from a community that is lazy in speaking, chartered accountants. He believes that no one should be lazy in communication and derives his passion for Toastmasters from this belief. He indulges in many adventures, including but not limited to coming to the stage frequently. A Toastmasters for more than 5 years, he's on his way to becoming a voracious reader, writer, and speaker. This person, ladies and gentlemen, inspires me in ways more than this guy himself knows. He's currently on a mission to deliver 100 speeches in 100 days. Very proud to announce he's already completed 52 of his speeches and will be delivering 53rd tonight. With that, the virtual stage is all yours, distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh Thakur, and thank you for letting me use the presentation for my role today. All the very best for the evaluation segment. The stage is all yours.
So the virtual applause, can we have also a real applause for all the role players and all the speakers that have delivered the wonderful performance in our meeting? Till now, I am overwhelmed with all the speakers and all the role players that I am mesmerized by the quality of the meeting till now. Let's start with the evaluation and where we'll find what went well and where is the requirement of some improvement. In the evaluation section, the main or the important evaluators are you all. Each one of you may be asked by the speaker themselves to provide feedback on their professional speech or their prepared speech. Going forward, I would just advise you to please make most use of the time allotted to all of us. That is 5 minutes to each of the evaluation. Hence, if there is any repetition or anything has already been said, you just pass on or just add on to avoid wastage of time. Starting with this, I am calling on the stage our first speaker, that is our professional speaker, Anisha Gupta.
Thank you, General Evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster Mukesh. I would like to have your recommendations from all of you, and also what you really loved while listening to my speech today. I would first like to call upon Distinguished Toastmaster and our Power Talk speaker, Sinchini Sengupta, if you would like to come on stage.
Thank you so much, Anisha. I am very inspired by you to begin with, because you actually did it. We say it, you did it. You are actually going and staying there, and you have shown us, you have not told us, you have shown us. And one of the modules I keep talking hoarse about is show than tell. You really led by that example. So brilliant use of your own life, your own lived experience, and your own humility. I think there was a lot of authentic and raw honesty in the way you spoke. Having said that, I felt that there could be a couple of things that you could work upon in terms of presenting the entire idea to the bigger world, so that we are not just listening to you and impressed, but we are moved and it's unforgettable. So that passion, that energy, I felt could have come if you could share a little bit of what made you decide. What were the voices inside your head when you first thought of it and you dismissed it as an idea and then you took the plunge? What happened when you just reached, when you asked that question, what would you look for when you immediately went to the village? I think as a woman, perhaps that is the first thought in my mind, where's the toilet? Where will I find sanitary napkins when I have my period? The very obvious, basic, practical stuff, I think, that was something that felt a little less spoken about, because it was a little bit of a hunky-dory, imagination, like, obviously very empowering and very down to earth and very grounded, but those realities. And also the other side of the reality, which is, when you mix with those people, what is it like? I mean, you showed a dance picture of girls and then there was boys. I mean, do girls and boys equally go to school? Do they play the same games? What are the mindsets like? Some socio, psycho, some more insights than just the evidences in the, photography exhibition kind of a thing that you did. That would have been great. But having said that, I'm truly inspired by your humility and by your courage to begin with. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Cincinnati, for that very comprehensive points. I would have taken note of that. And that does remind me that, okay, I have to shorten it up because I missed the bigger picture and the other side. And Distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder.
Anisha, my recommendations are covered. I really like the design of your slides. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Distinguished Toastmaster Raj Mehta.
Anisha, I like your content and the way it was presented. I felt that one more thing was missing, that you are advising us to mix with the people living in the villages. But are they also willing to mix with us? Because at times when we visit them, they are not willing to take us with open arms. They may have their own inhibitions. So I think that part could have also been covered. Thank you.
Thank you for exploring the other side. And Toastmaster Aditya Gupta.
Anisha, my recommendations have already been covered. However, I have 3 very short points that I want to share. Number 1, I felt in terms of recommendations, I felt the speech can be tweaked a little to make it a little more tightened. Second, in terms of the delivery of the content, I have very high expectations of you, and I would like to see more of flow in the content that you delivered today. And I think these 2 would be my top 2 recommendations, and looking forward to more speeches from you in the upcoming meetings.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. Toastmaster Sandeep.
Anisha, what I liked is you actually cover a topic in some 3 points like hands and head, think global, act local, be monkeying, food transport. The good thing is you nowhere in your speech you didn't compare with the city life. That's a good point. Second, your frame is aligned with the camera, but I think during the delivery of speech, most of the times your eyes were down. Third, if I see the topic, you said hacks to survive the village life. I think it could be modified into panorama of village life, because your topic itself said that village life is a challenging one. So it's an experience you showed. Just to have the topic on a positive side, like panorama of village life of a village, it could be better. Think on the sentiments of the village people as well on the topic side. Otherwise, okay. I really enjoyed the speech. You really showed up the experience. Wonderful.
Since timer is showing me the red card, I will move away from the stage, but I will take other feedback from offline, not on chat. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for all your wonderful evaluations. Now I'm calling the second speaker and first prepared speaker, Jolly Sharma, to take evaluations.
Yeah, so thank you, General Evaluator. And with this, I would like to request all of your feedback. So first, I would like to call up Margarita. Can I have your feedback, please?
First of all, thank you very much for this speech. A wonderful and original entrance and acronyms that are very similar to the into a completely different direction. I really like that. It added an element of surprise to the speech. I liked very much the contents of the speech. There were some takeaways for me. This was lovely as well. My 2 words of advice. First of all, it was just too much. Whenever you were delving into one particular topic, ideas in a very conversational out what is important for me and what do I have to go with away from it. The second thing that I would pay attention to is your voice pitch. And I would pay attention to it, especially when you're elevating the voice, because it is slowly starting to reverberate and it sounds almost slightly as if you are under tremendous pressure. So pay attention to it. Maybe record yourself so you will realize that this feedback is there. Thank you very much for your speech.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Margareta. And second, I would like DTM Raj. Can I have your feedback, please?
Jolie, I like your speech, especially the similar experience I had when we were told that now that we were to work from home, then we were again to resume the office. We were not happy with that. Okay, and speech was good, and the words chosen were excellent. I felt that there was scope of voice variety, and this was missing, and some dialogues were also missing. So I think scope of dialogue and scope of voice variety was there, and you could have done some on it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, DTM Raj. DTM Rupinder, can I have your feedback, please?
Jolly, most of it is covered. Primary recommendation being that it was too much content and too less time.
Okay, great. Aditya, Toastmaster Aditya, can I have your feedback, please?
Toastmaster Jolly, same for me. Most of it is covered. I would just like to see the flow in the content a little better, and love the story, the way you connected your experience from work from office to work from home and going back to the office. There were also some emotional elements about your personal life, which now as an audience, I feel connected to you. So good job there.
Great, thanks. And Toastmaster Anisha?
Jolly, I feel that you're a natural storyteller. I love the facial expressions that you brought in when you were talking about the favorable moments, like spending time with kids and sleeping and cooking. In terms of recommendations, I feel that if you add more of pauses, especially in critical circumstances like when your father was ill, that would enhance your delivery of story. All the best.
Thanks, Anisha. And Sinjini?
Hi, Jolly, lovely speech, very relatable, and you delivered it with a good flow. I would like to repeat what everybody else before me said: voice variety, vocal variety. And also I feel that, since you are going to be a speaker today, it could be a good idea to stay available on video. I know people cannot ask you question in between, but it develops a sense of trust and approachability. So your speech is not just your speaking time, but before and after. That creates a camaraderie with the people. So that might be a good idea, especially on the days when you have a significant role to play. So other than that, it was a very relatable speech. Thank you.
Thanks, Sinjini. Point taken. I think that was a very important point. Sandeep? Okay, Sandeep, I'll connect with you offline. I think our timer has already for me and other people also. So thank you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the evaluators for providing your useful feedback to both of the speakers. Now quickly going to the supplementary role players, and I would like to call timer of the day, Jim, to provide his report of the day.
Thank you. So most people were on time, which was very good. I noticed Sinjini, when she finished her speech, it was very leisurely and very on purpose, and it was within time as well. So that was masterfully done. Jolly was over time, 7:46, and the floor evaluation, Anisha, quite a bit over time, 5:53 for a 5-minute slot. For the table topic speakers, Yogita, you were very close to being disqualified, 103. Most of the speakers were actually very under time, including Margarita, but there were big gaps because of internet issues, I think. So her time looks like it's okay, but actually it was under time. And Seema was almost spot on, 2 minutes 06. So that is my report. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for your crisp report, Jim, and thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you would stay and keep your work up to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much. Now calling our grammarian of the day to deliver his report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I will begin with what went right. First of all, a very special mention and a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Aditya Gupta for calling every distinguished Toastmaster a distinguished Toastmaster and not DTM and not comma space TTM. Thank you very much, Aditya. You made my day today. Anisha had a plethora of good usages. Head, hands, heart, explore, enjoy, engage. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Food is actually close to my heart, so thank you for mentioning that. Think global, act local. Speaking of famous quotes, our presiding officer said, if you want to do something you really care about, you don't have to push, your vision pulls you. So that takes away the chance of you asking us what you said in the beginning at the end. Some improvements. I would be wary of using, I would encourage using neutral pronouns. Instead of saying him or her or himself or herself, maybe use them, their selves, because apparently there is also an issue of whether it should be him or her or whether it should be her or him, because there are ego clashes happening there as well. So just go with their, themselves, etc. Earthlings, while it was a wonderful greeting, my perspective is that earthling is what the aliens used to call us. It was never a person or human being calling other earthlings. It was spoken from a position of authority or where you were at a higher plane than the rest of the audience. So perhaps a slightly negative, but otherwise very clever use. Ample of time should be ample amount of time. I was confused between communal meals and community meals, but I think community is more popular. Not that I'm saying that communal is wrong. I flied off there. I flew to my hometown would have been a more complete sentence. A couple of usages where we used English brand names such as Zomato and Arogya Setu. We might want to have either their Western counterpart, something like Uber Eats, or an app that helps you keep track of COVID. There were some of the participants had difficulties understanding table topics. I would recommend that the table topics also be copy pasted into the chat window so that they're easier to understand. Coming to the good usages, once again, identity and ego are synonyms. Ego is a defense mechanism for identity. I saw David stuck in stone. I set it free. Wonderful. There is an artist inside every one of us. I'm still trying to look for that artist, Shinjini. The word of the day was used at least 5 times. I did notice Anisha, Shinjini, I think it was Aditya, and then Rupinder also used it. For a repurposed role, I think it was a good day at the office for the grammarian. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for your wonderful report, which was motivational also. Now I am calling the next supplementary role player, Aha Counter, played by Sandeep Kumar. Sandeep, you are mute.
Hope my screen visible. Presenting
Yes.
officer, could you please confirm?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, I would like to congratulate Margarita Bharat for a flawless delivery during the speeches. And the one who were closed were Mukesh Thakur as a presiding officer and Aditya as a TMOD with only just a single repetitions. Now, I would like to highlight mainly for the filler words or maybe other usages having the more than 5 numbers. Anisha, your praise was good, but you have frequently uses of more R's and R. So I would recommend to have a proper pauses during the delivery and read more verbally. That would enhance your less uses of crutch words. Then Sanchita, again, the more usages were of us. So my recommendation is to take appropriate pauses during the delivery. Then Madhusudan, you have 4 R's, 1 and 1 repetition of if it. The only recommendation is to have a more verbal reading so that the speech would be flawless. Then Seema, 1 R's, 1 and the other words of like because of a couple of times. So again, take control of pause. Jolie, you have frequent uses of and, you know, so, right, and other words in then and that. So my recommendation is to have the better control on pace, take appropriate pages and read more verbally, either article, newspaper or novel. Then Sydney, as a PowerTalk speaker, she has 1 single R's, but more frequent uses of and, you know, so. So my recommendation is to have the appropriate pauses. Rest, there are a couple of things which is there. I think the members would improve as far as they speak next time. This is from my side. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Can we have a huge round of applause for our counter and all the supplementary role players? Now it's my time to share my report as a general meeting overall. I hope you can see my screen. Can someone give me a thumbs up? Thank you, Sandeep. Overall, I enjoyed the meeting entirely. Till now, I am motivated. I am agitated for working more because lots of good role players, lots of good speeches were happening. A small glitches happened here and there, and with some of the points that we can improve upon in the future meeting, we will be doing wonderful. Sharing reports one by one. Our overall meeting score is 0.15. That means we were almost perfect on almost everywhere. Somewhere small glitches happened, and that made our score going down. Starting with Sergeant at Arms, he started right at 4 a.m. and for this we need a huge round of applause for not only Sergeant at Arms but for all of us. He started the meeting with humor and set the meeting tone right. I was all set by just his small quote of example: stay negative COVID wise and stay positive human as a human being. Thank you very much for setting that tone. I don't know how did our presiding officer do, and moving to the Toastmaster of the day. What a wonderful energy and wonderful presentation, interesting presentation, interesting slides, and lots of virtual use of applauses that kept the entire meeting interesting and intrigued with our screen. So thank you very much, Aditya Gupta, for bringing so much of innovations. And also, I liked the way you have inserted the countdown on the feedback slides. Great work, great preparation as a Toastmaster of the day. I also liked the way you provided information about ego and its mechanism, and you explained entire theme very flawlessly. I was actually motivated and I was informed after receiving your information as a Toastmaster of the day, as if it is a prepared speech. Thank you very much. Small glitches that happened and that can be improved by working a bit, like while you were presenting the structure of the meeting, the slide said it was a segment number 3, while you were saying it was a segment number 4, and vice versa. That could have been avoided. A small one more glitch was about the distribution of the role player. There was some confusion, and I really appreciate the way to distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder Singh took the job right away, and without thinking for even a moment, he shared the word of the day. It needs a huge round of applause, because this kind of trait is not normal for all of us. I could not have done that in that moment of time. Coming to the speeches, all of the speeches, our professional speech and prepared speaker, both were prepared. I really liked the way they have presented, they had prepared, and they have delivered the speech. There were no glitch. Great sessions. Coming to the table topics section, great table topics. The entire table topics was interesting. I like to applaud all the table topics speaker who dared to come on the stage and had a great take on all the topics. Starting with Sanjita, Yogita, Bharatnangya, Margarita, Madhusudan, and Seema. For Margarita, you started well. I could recall that you disagreed with the topics and you were going right. Still, I lost you because your voice was broken, and I could not hear until you came on the conclusion and handed the stage over to the table topics master. I really liked the way Sanchita had explained the topic and then related the entire topic with her. Then Yogita, how she explained the entire topic. Bharatnangya once failed to take the topics, and his comeback was great, and I really liked the way he spoke directly from heart. I also liked Madhusudan and Seema. You had a great take on topic. It was useful, it was informative, it was relevant to all the speakers. If you can also inculcate some story, some personal story. I know it is not it is not a very normal to come with a story instantly. Still, if you can relate it with some personal story, it would be great add on with your table topics speeches. One small recommendation to the table topics master: I felt that the topics were a bit longer, and even as a general evaluator, I could not understand the topic. Hence, the guests who are new to the Toastmasters or professional speakers might be struggling in understanding the topics. If had it been short and simple, it would have been great to them. Power Talk speaker, thank you very much, Sanjani. It was wonderful. It was more than the content that I already liked and appreciate. I always like the way you articulate things, the way you present yourself very naturally. It is a trait that I cannot even imagine I can have ever in my life. You are a natural born speaker. Thank you very much for bringing that art and artist. I will really look forward not only for the content, but the way you talk, you present yourself. Thank you very much. For all the evaluation segments, I think the entire evaluation segments went well. There was no repetitions, there was no waste of time, there was no overutilization of time. All the evaluation and feedback provided by each of the member were relevant to the speakers. I hope it will be helpful for the respective evaluators. Coming to the supplementary role players, starting with Trimer, very crisp report. You just provided your entire report in a few words, and that concluded the entire meeting, and it was motivating and specific to all of them. Thank you very much. Coming to the counter report, very analytical. We started with analytics and provided the crux of the entire meeting, and also it was suggestive which speaker can improve on what aspects. Thank you very much. It was great. Yes, coming to the grammarian, I am I don't have words to explain how great I felt of the way you have presented your report. It was a prepared speech. It was motivational. It was informational, and it also includes humor. I know how you do that, but hats off to you, distinguished Toastmaster Rupinder Singh. Overall, I really liked the entire meeting. I hope I can keep doing the things that we have done today. The entire professional meeting setup was professional. It was energetic. It was motivational, and I am honored to be your general evaluator for the day. Thank you very much. Now coming to the role of a presiding officer, there was one spoiler that our grammarian had already done. Hence, I will not go to ask you what was it with which we started our meeting, but I would like to hear from our Power Talk speaker how was our meeting. Sinjini.
As I said, Mukesh, I think, as much as you were so kind to say nice things about my speech, I really look up to you in terms of your leadership. Seriously. I visit the Professional Speakers Club many months later, and every time it amazes me. And I remember the time when you were just setting it up. And from there to now, and with that kind of short-term goal, long-term goal, I mean, fascinating. Really, it is personal growth. It is no longer about Toastmaster only. So thank you for having me, and I'll keep visiting to get inspired from you.
Thank you very much. As a small token of appreciation, I would like to sorry, come on the stage and take this certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
I will share the certificate personally. Thank you. Now coming to our next guest. Most of the guests are disappearing like aliens from Earthlings. Now, Jim, are you there?
Yes, here.
Yeah, your feedback, please. And thank you very much. Before you provide us feedback, thank you very much for taking up this role of timer.
Yeah, thanks. Needed some practice for being a timer. Yeah, very professional speakers, and well done keeping to the time. I was very impressed with the Toastmaster of the day, because he saw the flashing red light, and he just dropped introducing or getting the tag team to introduce fully, including the timer. So I was a bit sad, but it was well done. Just drop the rest of what you've planned and get on with the meeting. So that was well done.
Thank you very much, Jim. Seema.
Yes, thank you, sir. It's always my privilege to come and attend these meetings, and I always learn something or the other. Thank you so much, everyone, for making my day meaningful and productive. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Seema. Margarita.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give some feedback. I enjoyed the meeting as always very much, because you have a varied number of speakers that are coming from completely different angles, and this makes it interesting. I liked also the table topics because they were quite challenging. There are two things that I would
Margarita, your voice is breaking.
That you may consider, because you. Okay, I apologize. I'm really sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, two things that I would consider, because you are an advanced club. I would consider to, when you do the evaluations, to focus a little bit more on what would be alternative ways that the speakers could deliver their speeches. This does not necessarily have to mean that what they did is poor or is not good, but it's just alternative ways as to how they could. One of the things about advanced clubs, you're cushioning a little bit less the evaluations. You are still very, very polite to each other, I have to say, and I adapt myself. I'm just used to completely different evaluations in advanced clubs. That's one thing. And the second thing, even though I liked very much the general evaluation because it was so detailed, I would urge you to think about focusing on 2 or 3 important points. You're focusing on too many things, if you know what I mean. But otherwise, thank you very much for having me. It was a really interesting meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Margarita, for your wonderful suggestions. We will really consider about these helpful suggestions. Thank you. Mr. Bharat Nangia, your feedback of the meeting.
Not much to say, a very high quality meeting. I am really impressed with the format. So something different I have not seen before, truly professional, and some good experience today. Especially, I mean, everyone has been evaluated. I have been talking to Sinjini and everyone there, but then again, maybe one person I need to shout out is about Aditya. I really felt connected with the way he spoke. But overall, very high class meeting.
Thank you very much, Bharat. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you more often in our meetings. Yogita.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for joining.
So I'm here today because I'm really intrigued. I wanted to know more about the concept of the Toastmaster. And Sinjini, we both are in the Women Startup program together. I was intrigued and I got to know from there and I got onto it. And this is my first time. I really like being here, though I'll talk to her and know more about it. Thank you, Sinjini. Your speech was so good about the art and the artist. I'll take it further from here with her. Thank you so much.
So glad
Though
to
I'm
see
really
you,
interested
Yogita.
to know more about it.
Glad
I'm
to
interested
see
to
you.
know
I'm
more
sure
about it.
Mukesh will follow up with you on this meeting, but I'm so glad personally to see you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was really interesting.
Thank you, Yogita, and thanks all the guests for providing your wonderful feedback. So members, we will be networking after this meeting, and I hope you will stay with this. But as we said, as we started our meeting, the meeting went well. We are too serious about our roles. The way we prepare for our meeting before the meeting starts is something that pulls us. Not we are pushed by someone. I am the president of this club and I don't push anyone. I don't even interact with any of the members. I even know that all of the members are too occupied in their professional lives as there is a challenging time going on. They are too much committed to their professional work. Still, so when it comes to meeting a professional speaker, each one has pulled us a wonderful meeting, even as much less time they have got. So thank you very much for making this meeting wonderful experience for me. I hope to see you next week. And in the next meeting, let's try to be more professional, more energetic, and more enthusiastic because our next meeting starts now. Thank you very much. I am going offline with the live. So I am just putting live to a stop, live streaming to a stop, and all